Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Transportation and Logistics Clubhouse. Tonight, we're talking with Brother Chris Jenkins. Brother Jenkins, how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm very happy to be here. I really appreciate you having me on.
No doubt, man. I'm very excited to have you on stage. All right, so guys, this is a background. This is the background, and this is how excited I got when this brother right here just reached out to me on LinkedIn, just sent a connection request, and just like everybody else who has LinkedIn, you kind of peruse who's that person that had hit that button. And once I saw what their company was into, there was no way that we were not going to be right here, right now. So, Chris, man, look, I know, let's talk about you first. Before we get into the other part, let's talk about you. What's your background, brother? What have you been doing with your career? Like what type of stuff have you done so we can know who you are first before we talk about your company?
I would say this is kind of how I describe myself. I'm the son of a dinosaur that jumped out of planes to fight Nazis. Against his will, I went into the military, earned a beret, came out after my mom came to an event we were hosting in the military and said, "Bob, you need to get Chris a job before he gets himself killed." So that put me into the pharma, where I spent the next 30 years in big pharma selling everything from blood chemistry machines to vaccinations. I kind of wanted to get into a different field, and I had always liked manufacturing. So prior to a headhunter calling me, I helped my friend move a partially loaded 40-foot shipping container out in the hills of West Virginia. Had a near-death encounter, which is always due to friends. If you've ever noticed, when you ever have a good friend, his job is to try to kill you. So when the headhunter called and told me there was a safe way to move shipping containers, I was like, no way. Just like when I tell my customers, hey, there's a safe and easy way to move shipping containers, they give me the look. And I'm sure you've seen the look. Today I got the look a couple times, but that's basically my background. I really do enjoy the manufacturing side of it. It's a totally different world, and it presents so many different challenges, not only selling the product, but manufacturing it and overcoming engineering things, laws, taxation, business stuff. It's very challenging, but it's a blast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, look, man, I'm very, very happy to have you on stage, and thank you so much for your service. Very, very appreciative of men and women who put themselves in the line of fire to protect, the things that we do here in America. So thank you so much for your service. And, now we're here. Now we're talking about your company. The company is QuickLoadz. And, I just want to ask you to go ahead and paint the picture of supply chain in the way that we are currently utilizing, containers. And then, where does QuickLoadz come into play? So, you painting the picture of containers at work now, that's completely you. Let us know exactly what you want us to know, okay?
Okay, I'll go along with this, but also I wanted to say this.
Okay.
When you reached out to me and we started talking, I was very impressed with your knowledge, your background. You kind of grew up, your family was in this, and I have enjoyed speaking to you, and I know that this could probably be a good friendship. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, definitely, brother.
Yes. So here's basically the scoop. 90% of the world's freight travels in ISO shipping containers. 90%. It's phenomenal. The logistics of it are mind-blowing. I'm sure you're on LinkedIn and you have some friends in the logistics game. The charts, the data that they track, it's mind-boggling, and that's what's happening right now with the current world events. If everybody's watching with COVID, I grew up in the industry that invented just-in-time inventory.
Yes, sir.
The medical pharmaceutical, a doctor walks into the OR, he asks for 4O suture, they bring it out, they have 4 boxes, they have 4 surgeries, they don't have any inventory cost, it runs beautiful, except when COVID hits. And basically destroys the model. And now you see companies like Walmart that had perfected it, Toyota that had taken it to new levels, starting to step away from it. My friends in the logistics are all saying COVID is dead. I mean, the just-in-time inventory is dead. COVID has killed it. So now the stage is set. We see COVID hitting China, them having 0 lockdown, the ports being flooded, new laws coming into effect, protests going out in California at the ports. The final mile, as Amazon says, is in jeopardy. I mean, if you think about the potentials for the perfect storm, we are sitting right now watching the storm clouds come over our country. And I'm wondering, I don't know where you're at, but we talked about certain legislation, the COVID shutdowns in China, ports being clogged, inventory issues. Some people have an overstock. So the perfect storm has been set, and we provide the easiest answer.
Right.
We provide a very easy answer that you can load 20-foot and 40-foot shipping containers, either empty and haul them without a CDL, or fully loaded up to 80,000 permits, 80,000 pounds permitted. You know, if you get a permit, you can pull that. And they both load shipping containers in 3 minutes from the cab of a truck with a cell phone. Now, that's the part when, that's the part when I say it, people are like, that's not possible.
With the cell phone. Please let me hear some more, brother.
It's true. It's, now a lot of people freak out when I say the cell phone, and they start to ask questions typical to a cell phone. What if you don't have good cell phone connection? It's Wi-Fi. Our trailers have Wi-Fi. Our trailers are already autonomous. The trucking world has been like just have all these new trucks coming out that are autonomous, warehouses. Our trailers have been autonomous for the last year. We demonstrated at Freight Waves at the big kind of Walmart sponsored thing out in trucking conference out in Arkansas.
Bill, yeah.
Yes, we actually, when we were there, we won Best in Show and Best Swag at the national conference. Our product was received very well, and it was just wonderful that we had the opportunity to demonstrate it on a public basis.
Right.
But again, I want to say it. Load shipping containers from the cab of a truck, 20 or 40, in 3 minutes. No cranes, no chains, no binders, no frozen decks, no hot Georgia black on fire cook eggs deck. You're just in the AC in Georgia loading shipping containers in 3 minutes, and that basically is my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, look, man, very excited to have you on stage. And the point is, I think that you have a disruptor on your hand. Your company is in itself a disruptor to the status quo, and I'm just happy to go further in it. But you said, all right, your trailers are already autonomous. What if there's no cell phone reception? You're saying that the trailers themselves are the Wi-Fi enabled thing that, in case there was no phone coverage, data coverage, the driver's phone is still able to connect directly to the trailer itself, correct?
Exactly. We call it a brain box. and it's kind of got some multiple functions. We can literally VPN and do service and check out repairs. But also, if you would break your cell phone, drop it in water, it dies, you can actually operate it from the brain box.
Gotcha.
We prefer that people do it from the cab of the truck. Now, I would like to say this. I'm an older gentleman. Now, I'd like to think that I'm a stud, but I was born in the 60s. Now, I was a stud in the 80s and part of the 90s, but now I've come to a realistic expectation of my physical abilities. And I don't want to do chains, and I don't want to do a lot of things. But the ability of this thing to load the shipping containers, there were some challenges for me at first, and they were this. I didn't grow up looking at a cell phone, and my mind didn't develop 3D. Like guys, I'd say 35 and under, they can look at a cell phone, and from one camera angle, their mind can kind of form these pictures. Mine can't. So we come up with a thing. So don't panic if you're not good with a cell phone. We have multiple cameras that we put on. So when you back up, it gives you depth perception. And you can also go under the shipping container once our wedge is lifted up. So you can see how close you are when you do the set down. And what I mean by that is typically right now on unloading 40-foot shipping containers or even loaded 20s, they're very heavy. And I always like to say this, winches are great at loading, but they're not great at pushing stuff off by their very nature. Mm-hmm. So some people got to figure ways to get these off. And some of our competition says to, tie them to a secure object and move forward with your vehicle. Well, still sometimes these are a foot or even higher off the ground. So there's a lot of concrete damage, scarring. We have one video out on YouTube where you can literally, we set down a loaded 40 on cardboard on top of concrete, lift it up, and we didn't tear the cardboard. So I've been involved in construction prior to this, where we would go in and tear down houses that had been burnt for insurance companies. And we would scuff the concrete, maybe the size of $1. And it would cause a lawsuit. People would be furious. So just some of the benefits of this we can go over. But one of them I really think is you can set these things down gently. And literally with the camera system we have, you can stop at about a ½ inch off the ground and then start over. So you have this thing literally sit down and there's no damage to cargo. We've had stuff where we set down wine bottles and not damage them just for demonstration. But on the other end of it, 20-foot shipping containers loaded with gravel. We can set them down too, or dump them out the back. So we've seen applications on this. We're still getting them in. We had one come in about 6 months ago from Canada, where they were loading and unloading palletized supplies like housing shingles. And we really never even thought of that. And they're still coming in with multiple ways. Now, we've thought about equipment, loading broke down equipment and unloading it. But we're still having people say, hey, look at this video that we're doing with it. We never saw a video with this. Here's one from Canada. Mm-hmm. So that's some of the stuff that we're seeing coming in. We still haven't realized the full potential of how this thing can be used in the trucking market, but our customers are doing it for us. Right.
Well, look, for the folks that might have missed it, right? We started talking about cell phones and how this thing is being controlled by cell phones, but let's bring it back to I guess a step before. We're saying that you guys manufacture a trailer that in essence does what to containers, and as you answer that question,
great point.
Actually go for that part first.
Okay, let me explain the basics of the robot part of our trailer. Basically, every ISO shipping container has cutouts and corner castings. And these are typically, since the late 50s, how these things have been secured. Well, we have designed the robotic part on the end of the trailer or the mounted bed, which can go on, say, like a Freightliner M2 for our 20Ks, and then double and triple axles for our 40K 20s, and customized up to, I want to say, 55K, depending on the truck. So on the end of these trailers and truck beds, you have a couple different things. You have wedges that go in the cutouts. And if you'll picture an ISO shipping container, you have, you're looking at it lengthwise, you'll see the round places that we call corner castings on the outer edges. And then within those, there's cutouts. These wedges, you back them in so they go in the cutouts, and they literally lift the front end up and onto our chain hooks that go in the holes of the corner castings and pull it up on the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're in our 5th generation of the chain hooks and the chains. Our prototypes typically would have a 6-month life, because you're talking up to 60, 80,000 pounds on these chains. Since then, now we're looking at, years instead of months. So we've seen some of these chains now last up to 6 or 7 years, and we haven't really reached failure on our 5th generation chains. But you back up to the shipping container with a trailer or a bed-mounted unit using the cameras. And they have the projected thing just like you see. It's very simple. And it's, I just like to put a shout out to a lot of truckers. I don't have a CDL, but I am quite impressed with the guys that come in. Typically, I hate to say this, but, I'm a man and I think I can do everything awesome. But you know what I mean? I mean, I used to wear a beret. I used to be a stud, but I can back it up. I can do it within the 3-minute parameter that we say. But honestly, when these truck driving guys with their CDLs that have been doing it, 10, 15 years, they come in, they eyeball that thing, and I'm telling you, what it takes me 3 minutes takes them 30 seconds.
Right.
And literally our training time to back these up on these guys is like 5 minutes. I mean, they totally get it. But basically that's the main part of the function of the robot part. And it's all controlled most of the time by the cell phone. Now, if you don't want to, and you want to get out and talk to customers or whatever, you can do that. Some of the things that, in the past, we had a pony motor, but now we offer an optional electric power pack. And gotcha. I don't know if you want to talk about that yet, because that's going to probably be our future. But did I clarify that good enough for you?
Definitely. And let's revisit the power pack when we are maybe closing, since that is going to be what you guys are working towards in your future generations. Okay, So look, now we have a great foundation on the service that you guys provide. Okay, how long has QuickLoadz been in the trailer making business?
We've been in it, I want to say, close to 12 years. One of the things that kind of how it was born was a 3rd-generation engineer. His parents moved to Athens, Ohio, which isn't really famous for manufacturing plants. And his parents taught engineering at Ohio University. He went through the program, but learned early in life that he didn't want to be in an office. He wanted to be out building things. So he started a very successful construction company. and they got big enough that they started to do what a lot of construction companies do, is have tool shed trailers. Well, he didn't like how his were getting broken into, so he thought that it might be better if he had the security of shipping containers. So he just kind of sat down, and this became a glorious obsession for him. And 11 years ago, he came out with a prototype. And from that, I think he has 17 patents in 17 different countries. So he's covered his bases. Sean Jones is a very smart man. And now he has the bases covered. So he basically started building these prototypes, which I can say are still out delivering trailers. We've had 2 failures, but they were due to automobile accidents. The rest of them are still out delivering shipping containers and other cargo. But we've been basically doing it 11 years, 4 years at the facility that we're at now.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for the background. And, when it comes down to it, what has really been able to help facilitate the container shipping business, at least here domestically, over, forever, or at least as long as I can know, are chassis. What differentiates you guys, QuickLoadz, from an organization that manufactures chassis?
We can deliver to the final mile. We can deliver to the very spot that you want it, and put that container within a 8.5 by 40 chalk line that you want it. Typically, right now, we all know it's the pink elephant. The chassis trailers need cranes or need help to load. The problem with cranes are they're dangerous, they're expensive, and they're logistical nightmares.
Gotcha. Okay, let's talk about that a little bit more. I can only imagine you got to have certain people. I've done a little bit of construction myself back in the day. I was out in Afghanistan, not in the military, just, military contract work. And only certain people could operate, our excavators and some of the other things that we were needing that was vital to our projects. So when it comes down to crane operations, not everybody can sit in that seat. And even those who do sit in the seat doesn't mean that they're, the best person to be doing it. How does that come into play here? What do you guys, what do you really, do you have anything to back up crane safety and just like how dangerous it is, or, that type of stuff?
Well, I always say this: if you want to have an O moment where you grab your face and lean backwards, just look at YouTube on crane accidents.
Oh,
if anybody's ever watched crane accidents on YouTube, you're like, oh no. The other thing too is when I say logistical nightmares, people in logistics understand it, but some people don't. When you're trying to get 2 products that are very big, very bulky, to the same place on the same day at the same hour, that's a logistic thing that has to be overcome. Sometimes the cranes that you use to lift 60 and 80,000 pounds have to be hauled themselves.
Right.
And the last time I checked here in Ohio, diesel's around $6 a gallon, and the typical crane that can lift a partially loaded 40 is about $2,400 last time I checked in Texas. The same guy that sent me over a quote said to deliver it to New Mexico, they wanted a crane and it was $2,000. So right there on the invoice is, $4,400.
Right.
Plus mileage.
Plus mileage. Man, a logistical nightmare, bottlenecks everywhere.
Yes. So with our product, like I said, no cranes, no side lifters, no forklifts, no chains and binders. And when I say chains and binders, I'm still 6'4", about 230, and I can do it, but they're heavy, and sometimes I have to go to the chiropractor. But here's the thing. Don't take this personal.
Okay, brother.
I'm an old guy, and all we do is work. That's all we do. We show up and work. Not saying that you don't. I'm just saying sometimes companies have employees that are rock solid dependable, but they're 58 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they can't do the chains like they used to. Or they have someone that's handicapped. Or they have a woman that's 120 pounds. Now, don't get me wrong. I know I have a daughter. She's in the military too. She's 5'11", probably about $175, and I wouldn't want to try to wrestle her anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
She's
man,
the military policewoman.
No, I don't think I want to wrestle her either.
Yeah, she's just a younger female version of me. And if any of my friends are listening, that's a scary thing. But when you think of me as a female, but I would just say this: the retention on this, along with opening it up to having your drivers that can they could do this well into their 70s if they're alert. They can do this as long as they're alert. Women, I think every female truck driver should be looking at QuickLoadz. Handicapped people, if the vehicle is equipped to do meet their handicap needs, they can do QuickLoadz.
Gotcha. So you're basically saying QuickLoadz automation basically opens the door for more people who were previously unable to participate in this segment of transportation.
Yes, and I mean, of course, I remember growing up when truck drivers were burly dudes. I mean, they were just beasts because, I mean, they were lifting and tugging on crazy heavy stuff, and so this is the great equalizer.
Right. I hear you. I mean, that's the trucker that I knew. That's the trucker who I was raised by,
Yeah.
A big old burly guy out of North Carolina. Very
I bet you didn't want him to spank you.
Yeah, no, that's why I ran.
You turned out good.
I'm talking about a country fella, and I've never said this, but my father, this man used to kick basketballs bare feet like 3 acres.
Oh yeah, I know. My dad was a big old dude, and same way with him. But yeah, this product too, as far as just an equalizer, we'll take it to like some of the larger trailer manufacturers for chassis. This is something that for the investment from anywhere from 70 to 142,000, you can take on the big guys, and you can deliver this product where they can't.
Right. So are you saying that, I wasn't going to get there so soon, but was that number, that price range that you just threw out, is that the price range for each and every single one of your trailers?
Yes, it is. Our truck beds, the 20K super bed is, it can be operated without a CDL. Now, I've had truckers get mad at me and say, I don't want people doing anything on the road without a CDL. It's the sign that you're a good driver, and they do have a valid argument. But I would say this: there are tons of companies out there operating at 25,999 pounds with very capable drivers. So I will say that up front. So our basic truck bed that we mount to, say, like an M2 single axle starts out at around $70,000. Now it could go up depending on the PTO, different things on mounting it. If you want any type of customization, if you want to add an extra foot to it, or secure an area where you might put a light boom, we do that too, but that's all optional stuff.
Gotcha. That's what you mean by PTO? Yeah.
No, the PTO would be the power source on the bigger rigs. On the trailers, we do a pony motor that's gasoline operated, or the electric power packs. In the future, it will be powered by the axles. There'll be generations, and the axles will actually help acceleration and power it. But currently right now, it's a electric power pack that's rechargeable.
Gotcha.
It's rechargeable 90% in 1 hour. Typically, it will do in we call above 40 degrees. It will do 15 loads. We also have a solar charging for it and a trickle charger. So it'll work longer than you will. You know, I mean, it's not going to die like my cell phone is plugged in right now after it's had a hard day of sales. Our trailer will work as long as you do.
Right.
So then if you want to move up into the bigger models, when you look at our 60K super high 40, now this one is dock height. So you can load at a dock, but you can actually unload with a crane without a dock and without a crane. So if you want to have these things put on at a dock, you can do it. It's the 60K super high 40. And this one can be customized and permitted up to 80,000 pounds. Of course, you know, when you go over 80,000 pounds, you'll have to get permits. But typically, we find they're not too crazy in most states, the price of getting the permit to go to 80,000.
Right. I'll go above 80. I hear you. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, look. All right. Appreciate you giving the breakdown of the products that you guys have. Now that we've talked about it, where do you feel the largest impact will be? You know, what facet of the container work will have the largest impact by the, you know, the service, the trailers, the products that you guys provide?
That's in the military, we used to call that what if worms had machine guns?
Uh-huh.
So what if I had to take a guess right now and say, you know, try to put on my psychic hat, I would say delivery to companies and box stores that are going to start putting shipping containers in their back parking lots for fast moving inventory to be able to be secured securely. I know there's a couple big ones. I think the name's I can't remember, but it's something like that. I know because I won't say, but I'll just say that would be my guess, that it would be box stores trying to manage inventory as mountains and valleys of products and problems cause them difficulty maintaining inventory. Like I said, I believe this too. COVID is really throwing the monkey wrench into just-in-time inventory. And even as a company with us, we're now starting to do stuff like large purchase buy on axles so we can have them in stock, but then also get them at a cheaper, reduced cost.
Right. Okay. You know, I hear you. I mean, you never know, but you know, you never know. You don't know what you don't know, especially when you have a product that's essentially shifting what is possible. You know, the things that you guys are doing has never been done before. So, you know, all I know is I'm going to be one of those early adopters, and I pray that I can, you know, be on that investor side from the beginning.
Yeah. Well, we just had a group of investors come in today. Now, I don't know how it went because I just came back and saw the owner founder, you know, and just kind of reported in on how some of the sales calls they went in southeastern Ohio. But we are taking investors. I think one of the bloggers, I want to say for Republic, rated us the highest rating he's ever given. He said our only weakness was our sales and marketing department. But that was before they hired me.
No, that's your job, brother.
That was before they hired me. Now I'm
okay.
I'm fix that.
All right. So we don't have that issue anymore. That weakness has been turned into a strength, correct?
I pray.
Yeah, I definitely hear you. And look, I was asking the question of like which facet of, you know, container work will have the impact because, as it stands, I do own a dispatch company, Atlanta Dispatch LLC.
Hmm.
But my specialty so far has been domestic truckload. I'm more so tapping into the drayage market now.
Ooh, yeah.
So go ahead.
I was just saying, just kind of like we had a talk earlier about the ports, having these things around ports. And we do get a lot of calls from hotshot guys that see us and are like, what is this? Is this for real? And especially in the ports, but it's kind of expanding now just because of, like I said, just in time inventory and all kind of domestic issues. There's stuff going on where people want to have a secure thing. And I did put something on LinkedIn probably about 4 months ago, kind of where I believe things will happen. I believe that you'll start seeing things called pop up mobile storage sites where it'll be a lot that has security. And instead of having a locker that you would go to, you would be able to put your 20 foot or 40 foot in there. They'd have security. We actually started this years ago and didn't even realize it. A lot of times when people would come in to pick up their stuff, they would leave other stuff, or we would have our bulldozers or our rigs or our trucks or something, and we would put them in this thing called the fort, where we took 40-foot shipping containers and built a security place to put them in, and then store our tools and stuff that we would do in it. So I really think when I put a picture of that there, it was like the feedback I got, or like I was thinking about doing this morning for construction companies, heavy tow companies. I think, a lot of tow companies now have to have a secure area to bring their towed vehicles to. I think that we'll see shipping containers not only do that, but we're dealing with a lot of them that are making them into homes. And I don't know if you've looked at any of these modifiers that modify the shipping containers, but one of the engineers now is designing his side big business is that, and his house is kind of world famous. It's called the Neptune House. It's built with shipping containers, and some of these houses are phenomenally beautiful. Now, I'm an old school. I live in a log cabin out in Appalachia, and I dig that. But some of the modern designs that they're doing with modified shipping containers, which have to be delivered to a home site. Some of these home sites are on the sides of hills, and we do a lot of stuff with DOD. So we have a big old military deuce and a half that we drive through the woods and have flags. And for Department of Defense, we unload these shipping containers on these flags full of, with 10, 15, 20,000 pounds. And for some reason, it drives these military guys wild when we do that.
Yes, sir. No, hey man, you just opened something, a can of worms. I never even thought about the fact that, these shipping containers that have been, they've been getting a lot of attention for, being turned into homes. I never thought about you guys utilizing your equipment to support that portion of commerce. I never thought about that. I mean, my question was really going to be about how regulated ports are. You know what I mean? And they do what they do. They have their regulations. You're a driver. You got to have a twit car. You got to know how to start and stop and go into this box over here. But, like I said, my knowledge is very limited from, what I've done so far. Do you feel as though your trailers have a place on ports? I can see them also on rail yards, but, what about ports? Do you think that they would be accepted in those locations?
It's kind of, I'll be honest with you. I'm not really sure about that. I would say that it would depend on how we do in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of people that are courting us. They want to buy us. I mean, we got people beating down the doors for the technology. like I said, he's basically patented, and he's a very smart man, and he went after the patents first.
Yes,
So
sir.
it would kind of be, I could probably see us being licensed. I don't know if it'd be an actual acquisition. I know that he doesn't really want to move the plant. I would say it would have to do with how many we can really produce.
Gotcha.
Because you're talking millions and millions and millions of containers, and right now we're kind of microscopic. Now you're right when you say, "Hey, this could change it," but we ain't going to change it in the next 6 months to a year. That's just being honest. This problem is the next 20-year problem.
No, I hear you, but at the same time, it does make a difference who you have backing you. So
Mm-hmm.
if the deal is right, I do see this being something that is mass produced.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, it does alleviate a lot of the time that's currently required. When it comes to facilitating a shipment from origin to the true destination.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fingers crossed that you guys are going to find that
Yeah.
right opportunity
Yeah.
so that this can get in more places.
Yeah,
So,
you're exactly right about transloads and final mile. Yes, I completely agree. We are a beautiful answer. Um, from one dock to the site to delivery site. Yes, that's cool. Um, now, as far as production, there are things that we're doing right now to bring in house robotic welders. Plasma tables, 50-foot plasma tables. And I don't know if you've ever seen these things operate, but they're very, very scary. I mean, they cut massive amounts in
amen.
very short times. A lot of people
Plasma cutting, yeah, let me stay at least 10 feet away, please.
yeah, it combines all the things that really scare me. Water, electric, liquid nitrogen, and 440. I mean, so it's just and then I was talking to another guy that worked for a large manufacturer, and I said, "Hey, where would you stand if when they fire up this new plasma table? Where would you stand?" And he said, "Off the property." I was like, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." And I was like, "Thanks."
Right, right. Well, yeah, man. Look, you guys got it's a lot going on. I still have some questions, about. All right, so you did kind of mention this. You said this year your CEO had the opportunity to present at FreightWaves Future of Freight Conference in Bentonville, Arkansas. And for the folks who don't know, there's some major players in the supply chain industry that's based right there out of Arkansas. So no surprise as to why it was there. But
Yes.
you said you guys won a couple things. What is Best Wag? What does that mean? What he had
Um,
walk or something?
I'll, I put it like this. It's like the best swag for me back in my younger days was a supermodel. That's swag. You walking through the mall with a supermodel, that's swag. Um,
Yeah.
or to me, being an older guy, what about a '68 Camaro?
Right, right.
Let's see, what would a younger guy be? Maybe like a 1000 Ninja with a racing pipe. Or
Okay, got you.
yes. So is that explains swag? I'm like, let's see, if it'd be a girl, maybe one of those Dooney and Burke purses that match her shoes.
I hear you, man. All right, so essentially, the trailer, the app, that right there was the swag, and that's how you
Yeah.
guys won that. Okay, all right, it definitely makes sense because when you're toting around something that is going to revolutionize the industry, you're gonna turn some heads. And okay, cool.
Yeah, we also won best in show too, which is kind of cool.
All right, so what's the difference between best swag and best in show?
Um, I'm not really sure, but I know best in show. If I had to pick one, I want best in show.
Right, right. No, I hear you. I definitely hear you. Best in show is a smooth title. Yeah, I'll definitely take that one as well.
Yeah.
And I guess with that exposure, Like, what has been the experience, the day to day, like after you guys had that opportunity to be exposed to so many people at that event, so many companies, so many power players who got money to blow.
Yeah. Well, do you want the negative or the positive? Do you want me to tell both sides of this? Because there's always in manufacturing and sales, there's always a two-edged sword.
Uh-huh.
Now, in the exposure was I've done probably 1,600 quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the bad side is my left hand is starting to go numb. My wrist is numb. I have been offered to work, hey, if you want to work overtime doing these quotes, and, every salesman will tell you there's one thing that he wants to get sales. He just doesn't want to do quotes.
Right. You want to close. You don't want to quote.
Yeah, I want to do closes. But it has been amazing. Sometimes when you come in and there's get a quote on our landing page and there's, like 37 of them, you're like, am I going to get to eat lunch? Because we want to do good service and we want to get back and call these people within an hour. But it's just, that part of it is the part I know I'm whining. Tell me to suck it up, Buttercup. But, that the good part is that we're getting lots of orders. I mean, we're just got one, I want to say yesterday for 5 or 6 units that are going to be doing mining stuff. So it's our first foray into super beds that have been upgraded to over 40K that are going to be used in a mining thing. So we weren't even sure that was an application, but when we sent over all our engineering designs, they're like, this is exactly what we're looking for. So, the exposure was awesome, but then also on the backside is this. I mean, we're not a Ford, we're not a Chrysler, we're not, Kentworth. So the time frames, we got to try to keep them real world, and that's just very difficult. So we're having to partner with people and bring stuff in house. And on the manufacturing side, I know our operations leader he's starting to get a lot of gray hair.
Gotcha. I definitely can hear you there. I mean, even in my humble experience, working for a 3PL department within Fastenal, we were shipping all type of random things, man. I'm talking about lawnmowers, and our customers wanted to get those quotes on how much it would cost to take them. They wanted those things immediately. So I can only imagine something way more specialized with a robotic trailer.
Yeah.
What goes into producing a quality quote to take into account all of the things that they're really talking about. So
yeah. So I have to work with engineering departments. So say if they want it shored up to have a lift on it, or they want to just add 4 feet, and then that affects tilt angle. It's brutal as far as a salesman. I've never really been pushed this far working with an engineering department, because most of the time with the medical pharmaceutical, those have been understudy for years, and the production part of it's been fine tuned in surgically clean facilities, and here we are doing custom stuff with weights and lengths and making sure we have the right VIN number for the M2 Freightliner, so we know that this PTO ratio will work up with our max pull on the pony motors, the ratios on it. It's pretty brutal.
Gotcha, man. I hear you. Look, what's that current churn out time? If somebody said, hey, I just want one, just give me one trailer, and I want the Super Duty souped up 40-footer, 80,000 pounds. What's that time, that production time, that lead time before you can get that back over to them as it stands today?
Well, Right now, unfortunately, we're at 140 days. That's with a 20% down payment. That buys all the steel, all the hoses, all the stuff. Now, if you do a 100%, I call it a crowd fee. They don't like that because no one likes to get crowded in front of. But if you have someone pay 100% down, they move into front line of production. Now we don't give a shortened time. We just say that it's as fast as we can do. So our standard operating procedure is 140. Now we've been as low as 80, and we want to get back to that area because that's more real world is having these done. And typically I can do 4 to 6 on an order and do that. So there's some room to wiggle. So if there's something that's an emergency and they want to pay 100% down, money talks, and we'll start working overtime, and the guys will work the shift work. So that's kind of where we're at. I wish it was a better number, but it is what it is.
You know? Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You don't have to say anything more. It is what it is. I mean, you guys are growing. You guys are booked and busy. That's where every company wants to be, figuring out how they can produce more because they have such a high demand. So, at this point, it is supply and demand, and it is what it is when it comes to that lead time. I just wanted to get just an understanding, just in case people who hear this are interested, they can kind of get a game plan to build around it. And you say you don't like people jumping, skipping the line, but 100%, that's you kind of get some type of benefits from being able to, pay in cash. That is. So. Yeah. Okay. Look, we're going to be wrapping the conversation up pretty soon, but before we go, where do you? I know this is you just looking into you're looking into the future, but where do you feel like QuickLoadz is going to take this container industry? Like you being here on the ground floor, because that's exactly where you are.
Yeah.
And the sky isn't even the limit. This is going way beyond that. Where do you feel like QuickLoadz is going to take the container moving industry?
I think we offer a safe, easy, fast way to move shipping containers. So I think a lot of people would be like, so are you going to sell 10,000 units to Walmart? I don't know. But I do know this. John Doe construction company that's growing, and he wants to have his tools in a secure container that he can leave on site and foil crooks. Or if he wants to cut the top out of that shipping container and turn it into a dump truck. Or if some guy wants to, he's too old to do trucking, but he still loves to travel, and he wants to take his 1-ton pickup and pull empty containers. I think that once people find out that there's a product that they can move these things that will have a pretty high value, I think, in the near future, I think we'll do okay. I don't think we really need to be at every dock, but I wouldn't mind being at the docks, and I think we have a place there. And I wouldn't mind being at the railheads, and I think we have a place there. But I think companies, that are 1 million to, we'll say, 100 million, I really think that those would be where we shine. And the people will be like, "What, you mean you don't want Walmart?" I'm like, I'm at the factory, and I know what production problems mean, and I understand trying to produce a quality product as fast as you can. And these trailers they're made by guys that have been welding for 30 years. Our welds, when people come in and look at them, they're like, "Man, this is a piece of artwork." I'm like, "Yeah." One last thing before we go, I would like to say this. There's a couple units that we're working on that really I'm allowed to announce now, but It's kind of freaky technology. I don't know if you've heard of like bonding, but they're doing a lot of stuff with steel and carbon fiber.
Okay.
And this is probably maybe the first time this has been announced, and I'm probably stepping on a lot of marketing toes. But
Ooh.
I'll give it to you because I like you. I'll give you the biggest lead that's come out of our factory in a long time. What if? Now, what? Not if. What if worms had machine guns? Birds wouldn't mess with them. This is a cool what if. What if you could move 40-foot shipping containers with just a driver's license and a 1-ton truck?
Oh, what if?
What if? Now, when you start talking 26,000 pounds, with the current steel we have to use, that can never happen. But
it's heavy.
It's heavy.
Right.
It weighs 26,000 pounds.
Right.
But when you start reinforcing stuff with carbon fiber and its strength is incredible, then you start talking about a trailer that gets better gas mileage.
Right.
So even if it's a 80K, but it's 30% lighter.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
That's just the material, man. This is the funny thing is carbon fiber, as you would probably know way better than me, because I'm just going off of movies, definitely his introduction into the military, just like with everything that was, being ways to see how you can just make things stronger, lighter, faster, and more dependable. I'm pretty sure it's had a huge impact in the way in which our military, our government, gets its products now. So for it to now come into this industry, it only makes sense. But, that's awesome. That's a huge what if. I appreciate you sharing it.
Yeah. One last thing, too, I want to offer to you guys. We typically don't throw in too much stuff, but in order to celebrate my first day as a podcaster, I will do this for everybody that calls in. And my name's Chris Jenkins. So if you call in, here's what I'll do: free galvanization and a free tow package. So what I'm saying is we do hot dip galvanizing, and I actually want to have every one of our units done this way because of the lifetime. I want to have a trailer that's a 15-year to 20-year lifespan trailer. Now, that's not saying that we might have to replace a chain, but that's something that, maintenance, you can get long life on. And then the tow package, basically, this enables you, say you're having a slow day with shipping containers, you can still move cars and equipment and load and unload palletized material. So that's depending on what you do, that can be on galvanized. That's around 45. A tow package is around 1,300. So that we'll just call that. How a lot of those famous podcasters will have theirs. We'll just do this as the Myers discount.
I truly appreciate that, brother. Look, and I pray everybody can take advantage of it too. Man, that's amazing. I thank you so much. Your first day as a podcaster, and you're the one giving out the gifts. We do appreciate that. Well, yeah,
right
man.
On. And I do look forward to hopefully seeing you at one of the next shows. I think we are scheduled for the trailer show in Nashville next month. So if you can get over to Nashville, I will definitely buy you my signature dinner, which is coffee and donuts.
Hey, man. Well, I'll see you there, brother. I'll see you there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, my bad. I normally just 30 seconds. Just, Chris, be available for 30 seconds. Any questions for this brother? We're going to leave that open for 30 seconds. If you have a question, raise your hand. But as you can see, we were concluding. And as I mentioned that, next week, go ahead and join us on Monday, 7:30 a.m. as we partner with FreightWaves, selling our team to talk about where you should move your trucks and to take advantage of the great rates that are still out here. And then next week, health is very important, especially in this industry. We're going to be talking to the supply chain fitness person, a very, very, very influential doctor that is going to help, not only truck drivers, but other folks that support supply chain stay healthy and fit while we, tackle this industry. And look, Chris, nobody raised their hand. So look, we're going to go ahead and we're going to exit stage left. Again, I appreciate you, brother. And, I can't wait to work with you in the future, sir.
Same here. Thank you so much.
All right, now. Everybody have a blessed one.
You too.